which is Snow White and the Evil Queen. And that's me. I'm Snow White.
All right, here's the latest Hollywood drama that's got everyone buzzing. Brett Cooper, the conservative star from the Daily Wire, is stepping into the role of Snow White, replacing Rachel Zegler. This casting change has sparked a ton of attention, and, of course, controversy. You can already guess. People are picking sides all over social media on this one.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937.
The cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated. I'm sure a lot of people will assume it's a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie.
For the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Rachel Zegler took a pretty bold approach with her take on the classic Snow White story. She decided to ditch the Prince Charming character entirely, aiming for a version where Snow White isn't just waiting to be saved by a guy. Her idea was to give the tale a modern twist, but not everyone was on board. Some fans, especially those who hold the original fairy tale close to their hearts, were not thrilled. They were hoping for the traditional story, prince and all, thinking they'd get that nostalgic happily ever after. Instead, they got a plot twist that stripped away the romance, leaving some to argue, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This change has definitely stirred up debates about whether classic stories should really be reimagined at all.
Well, this is the Snow White most of us remember, the classic Disney cartoon. The remake, with the so-called real people in it, apparently will look a little different. A little. That is the underestimate of the century. Look at that. Understatement. For one thing, most of the seven dwarfs are not dwarfs. And that's not the only reason Disney is facing steep backlash today. I want to bring in Media Buzz host Howie Kurtz. So I've talked about this a couple of times with different people today. I am so anxious to get your take because you will see the media fallout in this. How's Disney doing?
This is absolutely ludicrous, Harris. I mean, I can't tell whether Disney wants to be increasingly woke and just turn off the many fans who want to go to the movies and have a good time, or is too dopey to realize you can't have Snow White without the seven dwarfs.
It's a good question. I can't help you answer that. What I can tell you is if they were really going for diversity, what they've done is they've just helped to divide us even further. I don't understand why we have to fight past classics with today's vision of what they should have been back then.
This is a remake of a 1937 movie. Now, you can't have Sleepy and Happy and Grumpy and all the other dwarfs. They were all white in the original movie. Snow White is called white. And Disney tries to make up for it by casting an Hispanic actress as Snow White. And, you know, the company's had a long political battle with Ron DeSantis. You might think they would want to lie low a little bit and not spark another woke controversy.
Skin as White as Snow was an example that Raymond Arroyo and I talked about earlier as two people of color on the screen. What, are you going to change the script too? Because when you read that line, you can't say that about the seven dwarves in total now.
You know, I was thinking about it. You can't. I know. I was thinking about it. The biggest moral stain on American history is slavery. Does that mean you can't depict slavery in a movie about that era? Of course not. And yet Disney, by the way, Daily Mail published some photos from the set, which certainly fueled the controversy. And Disney PR came out and said these were fake. Well, they were not fake. They were real. And we have a word for that in journalism. It's called lying.
The drama doesn't end with just the story changes. Fans are also upset about how Disney's reworking the entire look and feel of Snow White. One of the biggest points of contention: Disney casting a Latina actress for the iconic role of Snow White. This move sparked a lot of debate. On one hand, some fans are all for the fresh take, applauding the celebration of diversity. On the other hand, there's a vocal group that feels like this reimagining strays too far from the original Snow White, who is famously white as snow. The casting decision has definitely stirred up strong reactions, with people picking sides on what feels true to the classic.
But that's exactly what's going on in Hollywood. Look at the new reboot of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. You've seen the set photos that came out. They got rid of the little people and cast taller people. But you don't know the reason why. Apparently, The wildly successful actor, Peter Dinklage, got upset that other little people were getting work, and he thinks the movie's offensive.
Look, take a step back and look at what you're doing there.
Yeah.
I know. That makes no sense to me.
Well,
You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that backward story of 7 dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing, man?
And Disney caved. No more little people. What other movie could shine a better role on little people, let alone cast 7 of them as leads? This could have made 7 unknown actors household names and given them huge careers. Let's look at Snow White's magical friends. You have a black one, a Latina Snow White, a couple of women, they all shatter. Were 7 dwarves not diverse enough for Disney? Think about what's better, Snow White and the 7 dwarves or Snow White and the 6 unemployed dwarves? And why is Disney excluding little people in the name of inclusion?
Like, you're taking jobs away from people. There's not one voice. So just because that actor doesn't want to do that, and he's been fortunate, he's a great actor, don't get me wrong, you know, he was an elf and he didn't play an elf, but there's little people out there that play elves, that play leprechauns, that do all that, but it's their choice to say yes or no. But the little people that choose to work in this industry should have that choice for a role, not have someone take it away and be the voice that, oh, you know, we shouldn't do that anymore.
And the changes keep coming. Disney has even gone so far as to rename the movie from Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs to just Snow White. Why? Because, get this, the new version only features 1 dwarf character. Yep, just 1. Fans are scratching their heads asking, why even call it Snow White if you're changing so much about it? It's like ordering a cheeseburger and getting a salad instead. You can almost hear people saying, hold up, Disney, what are you doing to our beloved fairy tales? This has become a huge hot topic, and everyone's got an opinion. Some critics argue that Disney's just trying to be overly politically correct, and that's taking away from the classic story we all grew up with. Rachel Zegler didn't stop at removing the prince, though. She went as far as calling the traditional romantic plot outdated, and even labeled the prince a creepy stalker. That's a pretty bold statement, right? It's like she's flipping the script on the old fairy tale vibes where the prince swoops in to save the day. But not everyone's on board with this. Some fans are wondering, aren't these tales supposed to be about fantasy and escape? Why make the prince creepy? It's definitely stirring the pot and leaving everyone with something to say.
Is Snow White and the Evil Queen. And that's me, I'm Snow White.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is fairest of them all?
Once upon a time.
Enter Brett Cooper, the new Snow White under the Daily Wire's banner. She's not just sitting on the sidelines. She dove straight into the fray, defending the classic fairy tale love story with a vengeance. Brett's having none of this modern take on the prince as a stalker, and her stance has resonated with plenty of people who believe fairy tales should stick to their roots. I mean, imagine watching your favorite childhood movies and then being told everything you loved about them was wrong. That's gotta be jarring, right? But just when you thought things couldn't get more intense, the Daily Wire throws a major curveball. They're making their own version of Snow White, starring none other than Brett Cooper herself. Talk about a plot twist. They're saying, you want classic? We'll give you classic. This move has sparked a ton of excitement and curiosity, with people online lining up to see which Snow White will wear the crown better. Will it be Zegler's modern, prince-less Snow White, or Cooper's more traditional fairy tale version? The debate is on, and it's only getting more heated.
Snow White.
Father. On this day, one has come of age. Snow White. She is also your salvation queen.
The evil queen. We have to stop her.
The plot thickens with the Daily Wire's version of Snow White, which stays closer to the original fairy tale, setting the stage for an epic showdown with Disney's modernized take. Imagine 2 Snow Whites battling it out in the world of cinema. Now that's a movie in itself. The Daily Wire is playing it smart by tapping into that nostalgia factor, which could pull in audiences who long for the classic stories. This rivalry has gotten so intense that Disney even pushed back their movie release from 2024 to 2025. Yeah, you heard that right. Seems like they're feeling the heat and maybe taking a step back to reassess things. It's not every day that Disney, a giant in the industry, decides to delay a major project like Snow White. Some are whispering that Disney might be trying to avoid a head-to-head box office clash or even rethinking some of their creative choices. Either way, this has sparked a massive storm among fans, with people picking sides like it's a fairy tale sports league. On one side, you've got fans who are all for Disney shaking things up, saying it's time to ditch those outdated stereotypes and give us a Snow White who doesn't need a prince to save her. On the other, there's a huge crowd rooting for the Daily Wire's version, craving that old-school magic where the prince sweeps Snow White off her feet. So what's it going to be? Are you into a modern remake? Or are you craving that classic fairy tale charm? This debate is far from over, and everyone's eager to see which Snow White will capture the audience's heart. Drop your thoughts below and let us know where you stand on this fairy tale face-off. And hey, if you enjoyed this video and want to keep up with all the latest in movie news, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Woke Informant, and ring the bell so you never miss out on our discussions. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next